So by now, most people know who I am and what I'm living with. But today we're looking at Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. And with me is Jolandra van Dyk, and she's been living with CMT, or as I remember, the long name for it was hereditary motor sensory neuropathy, if I have that correct. And the
I
reason
think
is that right?
I've never heard that terminology.
Well, the reason why I know this is in 1997, my first diagnosis was in fact Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. And I thought I lived with this disease for 8 years until I got another diagnosis. So, you've lived with it now for your entire life, Yolanda, and you were diagnosed only 3 years ago and
Yes.
realized yes. So how did that all come about? How did you realize what you were living with and how the diagnosis itself?
So hi. Thanks for having me. I experienced some problems um in my late teenage years. I'm just having this constant pain.
Uh,
And every time my mother took me to the doctor said it's growing pains.
aha,
Um, take a Panado, or maybe see a psychiatrist. Um, and then I went from growing pains and I just got through my life. I got rheumatoid arthritis, as well as quite advanced osteoarthritis. And so they just said, "Oh, it's probably the arthritis or the growing pains or so on." Okay. So that was that story my whole life. I got treatment for my rheumatoid and whatnot, chemotherapy, and really sick. But it wasn't letting up. There was something just nagging me, and I just experienced this muscle weakness. I thought, yeah, no rocket lay. I'm getting lazy now. Um, I should be more active because I was a very good athlete, very strong long distance athlete. And I used to just quickly go and run for 30 or 40 kilometers, no problem. Very strong and a very hard worker. And then I just experienced this phase of I just can't move. I'm too tired to move. And I thought something's wrong here. This is not arthritis. And I went to see the doctor. And from the one doctor to the next, eventually I ended up at a state hospital because apparently the expertise were much better there. And they said to me, "Look, have you got family history?" And we went through everything. She examined me, and I said, "Look, you've also got Charcot-Marie-Tooth." Um, so my on my dad's side of the family, this is a very strong disease. Most of the people on my dad's family have it. His mom and her family, she had five sisters and two brothers, one brother. They're seven in total. They all have Charcot-Marie-Tooth. Every single one of them. Apparently, their mum had it, and my dad didn't. I don't think my dad even knew he had it. His symptoms weren't um, very
yeah,
noticeable.
yeah, it wasn't showing. So yeah,
Yeah. So he had symptoms. If I think back of it now, he definitely had symptoms, but they put it down to arthritis or old age, this and that. So yes, but I have some cousins that all have it, and my dad and them have some cousins that all have it. So it's very
yeah.
strong in the family.
So
Yes,
it's a hereditary disease as
it's
most
a
of them.
hereditary.
Yes,
Yes,
and
it's definitely.
probably autosomal recessive on the recessive side and not the dominant side because the autosomal recessive sometimes doesn't show up and like mine is I've also got autosomal recessive and both my parents had the gene but they didn't show any symptoms.
Sometimes.
So
Yes, yes.
yeah, so it's probably the
Yeah.
same. But the progression of the disease, where are you at this stage? Can you still walk? Do you need assistance?
Okay, so I'm finding more and more that I'm needing. Look, I joined the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation about 2 years ago because I found I was really battling to walk. I've also lost, as a result of this disease, I've also lost 80% of my hearing. So I lip read. I'm doing sign language course now, but I lip read, and I've been doing it for years. I didn't even know because I've been deaf apparently for a very long time.
Sure.
Uh, so I've got hearing aids, but it's just a sensory overload. Um,
Yes.
anyway, so yes, I joined the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation because I was finding that I need help.
Yes.
Um, I need some kind of support. I don't know anything about this because in my home, I never grew up with it. I
Yes.
did with seeing my grandparents walking badly, and but they were told they had polio when they were children. That's why they were like that.
Of course.
So, so yes. So where am I at now? I use my wheelchair when I go out. I use it at home. I have a motorized wheelchair. I use it home as well, but not full time yet.
Yeah. That's
I'm
good. That's
trying
good.
to, yes, I'm trying to walk as much as I can
Yes.
without falling.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the problem there. The falling part is I've had my share of falls. I can tell you that.
well, I'm petrified of it now because I've just broken two screws in my back. I have a cage in my back because with Charcot-Marie-Tooth comes bad scoliosis. So I
Yes.
have a cage in my back and I've been fused, and I just broke two screws in my back from a fall. So I'm petrified of falling. I've done a lot of it, and I do. I'm very off balance, but it's also partially as a result of my hearing.
Yes. And you need to be careful if that is now a perennial problem.
Yes, yes. Um, so I try and use my chair when I really need to. I have a walker here, a very good one, and a very high one because I'm very busy. So I try to use my walker because it's better to use in my kitchen than the chair. Because with the chair, I can't get to see inside the pot. And I'll tell you just now what I do so that you can
Yes.
understand.
I,
Yeah,
I really want to hear about what you do in your life and what
too
you
much.
know what you're planning to do in your life and all those things.
Yeah. So I use my walker in the kitchen because I can still lift my legs and move myself along with my walker. Um, but other than that, going out is a problem because I can't walk in a shopping center or a mall anymore. I'm finding that we're very housebound. Um, we used to do lots of social things, which I don't do anymore. I used to do ballroom and Latin with my husband. We don't do that. I can't dance. In my head, I do a lot of dancing, but
Yeah, no. Well, the way I dance is I sit in my chair and just move around.
yeah, yeah. So we adapt as we go along.
We have to. Yes, yes, we have to. But
But
yeah. So, but what do you do that keeps you so busy?
so I used to. I should start at the very beginning so that you can see how I have had to reinvent my life.
Yes,
Um, so for 26 years, I was a terminal care nurse. I specialize in cancer and dementia, different forms of dementia, and that's my expertise and doing what I know best. Taking
yes,
care of dying people, letting them die with as much dignity as possible.
yes,
But my husband and I had our own dementia care center where we had people actually living with us, living with dementia and different forms, Alzheimer's, whatever. So I started just getting so tired. I couldn't work anymore. I just couldn't lift patients anymore. I just didn't have the physical strength, but also I found I wasn't having the emotional strength because I was trying to cope with myself. I was just too exhausted, both physically and mentally. And I said, I think I've been doing this job too long, not thinking about my health and my conditions.
Yes.
Um, anyway, so long story short, we eventually closed our business. We bought this house, and he's just still working. He's a politician,
Yes.
and me, I've decided now I've got to reinvent myself. I've got to rely. I always tell my children, when you're in trouble, turn to flour. Because while you have hands and you have flour and a mixing bowl, you can make money.
Yes.
So obviously, none of us today can afford to just sit around and do nothing and not earn anything. We have to earn. So I bake. I started baking wedding cakes until it got to the point. I did it for 4 years. I did it to the point where I couldn't lift the cakes anymore.
Yes.
So I had to stop that. But my daughter spoiled me, and she bought me a fantastic, fancy Kenwood. And so now I make fudge, I make chutney, I make jams, relishes, cheesecake, cakes,
Wow.
you name it, breads. So I bake as much as I possibly can, and I sell online.
Oh,
And
do you have a website?
no, not yet, not
Yes.
yet. I have my child said I must actually not say online because it's not really online. I just advertise and then
Well,
uh,
it's on social media, but we'll I'll put a link in so people can contact you.
okay, thanks.
Yeah,
So
but it looks like that you've just, you've, and that is something that I've had to do in my life. When something happens, I had to adapt, and
yes,
it's happening. It's been happening quite a few times, and it looks like you've also done that. And I've always wondered
absolutely.
if you don't do it, then what's going to happen? Do we really have a choice? That's the question.
That's my point. During I did quite a lot of training and teaching people about death and the dying process in my work.
Yes.
And I've had to actually sort of sit with myself and reevaluate and give myself a little bit of a chat. Where are you in your life? Why do you have to reinvent yourself? Because I cannot sit still. Number one, I have ADD on top of everything. I have ADHD. So I have red ants in my pads. I can't sit still.
And that's
And
quite a contradiction you've got there,
and and I find that being blessed with this disease, you you can't just go and sit in a corner and feel sorry for yourself, because you can feel sorry for yourself. I can find enough hours in a day to feel sorry for myself and enough reasons in a day to feel sorry for myself. But what would I achieve? I have children, I have a family. Okay, my children are grown up, but they still look to me for guidance and so on. And I have a husband and I have a home to run. It'll all just go to naught if I went to sit in a corner. So
is that
it's not.
is that what gets you going if you're down? Is it your family, or what gets you up and not totally give up?
I think, look, I can't say that they're my driving force.
Yes.
Um, I think my driving force is to just try and be as productive. I once went to a Dale Carnegie session years and years ago. Most people today won't even remember who he was, but and he once said there, never go to bed at night without knowing that you've earned your way for the day. You've earned your income for the day. You've really worked for it. If you feel that you haven't, then you shouldn't even be alive. But so always try and keep that in mind. So that's what I keep in mind. How did I contribute to this household today? Um, And I think that is what keeps me. I've got to stay positive in order to do my job and to sell my stuff, because I've got to try and get people to buy my stuff.
Yeah.
And I find along the way as well, people also look to you for, they say, wow, you're in a wheelchair, but you still make jam. How do you do that? So, if you can sort of inspire somebody a little bit, then wonderful, because we all need a bit of inspiration.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we, we all need some support, and so I think, I just generally have a positive outlook on life. I think I'm lucky that way.
Yes.
Um, but I think my biggest driving force would be how much did I contribute to this house today, as a good member of the house or a bad member. I don't want to be bad.
Yeah. So, but if people ask you for advice or motivation, what do you tell them normally? I mean, it's a bit of a broad question, but how do you, and maybe for people who are watching this who have neuromuscular diseases, that's why we do these sessions. Because I find that when I just share what I've decided today to be positive, it might give someone else just that help to get through the day,
Yeah,
to get through the week, to get through the month. And
yeah.
it might be the smallest thing. Um, but what do you tell someone who asks you for advice? Because I do find that people, when you're in a wheelchair and you are positive, it's almost like a miracle for them. In some instances. I
There's
mean,
something wrong with you. They think there's something wrong,
yeah,
something more. See a psychiatrist.
yeah.
Um,
And
I've been there to
we're trying to
psychiatrists and that.
we're trying to just live our lives, right?
Absolutely. So I think, if I had to give somebody advice, I would say, you're alive. You could have had cancer and died tomorrow, or you could have a very quick progressing disease, that you die in 2 weeks' time. But you're not. You're alive. And while you're alive, you have to choose. Life is about choices. You have to choose to be an active member of society. While there's still life in you, the possibilities are endless. Even if you're bound to a wheelchair, or it's just a different mode of transport, you know, it's my
Yes,
legs. It's a
yes,
different mode of transport. I think that you have to change your mindset. And then things are easier to accept. So you can't change the fact that you have CMT. So learn to live with it and make the best of your time living with it. And try to be an example for others, living with it. So I can't stand in my kitchen anymore and cook and bake. So I sit on my walker or on my wheelchair, whatever. I do my dishes. I do everything that anybody else can do that has legs. I mop my floor, great difficulty, but I mop it. And I keep doing it. I don't just put the mop there and say, I can't do it today, or I can't do it anymore. No, because even if I just move the mop from point A to point B, I'm doing it. I'm doing something about it. And that I think is key, is doing something about it, not
yeah.
just sitting around and waiting for death to knock on your door, because it might take a hell of a long time and you might have missed out a lot of life.
That is so true. Yeah, that is so true. And although in my case, for instance, although I can't do as much as other people, I can't
Okay.
go every weekend, go on trips, and but you still have to do and try those things that other people do, just in your own way. I think that is,
Okay.
well, yeah. I mean, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you can tell the community? Um, from a motivational perspective before I let you go. Because you've given us so much in a short space of time. But is there anything else that's very important before I let you go that you can tell the community?
I would like people to connect with me if they like. Um, to see what's going on. I'm trying to get people that are not able-bodied together, who do things, who are willing to learn things, to train people, because we can all do something from our wheelchair, whether it's paint a little picture and sell it, or anything, do a mosaic, do a whatever. I'm very good with craft. I'm very good with hands. So I'm prepared to train people, to have sessions maybe once a month, to teach people to do stuff so that they can generate an income. Even if it's £5 a month, it's an income. For the able-bodied community out there, I'd like to say, please, guys, open your eyes. We are here. We are part of this world. We contribute to society every single day. And if you can and are able, please support us. We need all the help we can. So many of us are not in the lucky position that I'm in, that I have a husband that can help me financially. I hear of a lady where her child's got Charcot-Marie-Tooth, and quite advanced. They have no income. I'm not asking people to donate money, but please buy our stuff.
Yes.
Buy stuff. We aren't trying to get rich. We're trying to survive. We're trying to survive. And I always wondered what was my purpose before I got CMT or knew that I had this. And I always thought it was to serve people and to heal people or to help people through their process of dying. But now I think it's shifted, and my purpose is to help people to survive with this disease or any other disease that puts you in a wheelchair and robs you of your life. So you've got to reinvent yourself. Let's help people to do that, because they're saying, I can't work anymore. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I have no skills. Let's teach people skills. Let's build up this community of wheelchair users and deaf people and whatever. And let's give everybody a little bit of hope. And I think that's what we should do, especially after COVID. It came home to me that we've got to give people hope. And it's not up to people up there in institutions. It's about us down on the ground doing the work. And we can.
Okay. Well, they're almost about to cut us off, but you have said so much in a very little time. And I thank you so much, Jolandra. And this will go out, and the people from the MDF will see it, and let's hope something comes of it. And yes, I agree with you 100%. And thank you.
Wonderful. Let's chat offline. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks
for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you.